I have played Final Fantasy Tactics, the Ivalice Chronicles. I have put in over 40 hours. I have rolled credits, and I'm almost there to getting all of the in-game achievements that it has to offer. And in today's video, I'm going to be giving you my thoughts and opinions on the game. So with that all being said, what is up guys, Jen here, hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to the channel. As always, got your cool timestamps down below, so if you want to skip to a certain section, feel free. All you gotta do is support the channel and hit the like button. And if you want to stick around for some more Final Fantasy content, then you're already in the right place. Just hit that subscribe button. The code was provided by Square Enix, so I can get my thoughts and opinions and the gameplay you are seeing in today's video, though that does not affect any of my opinions. These are my opinions and my opinions alone. So where do I begin with this video? Well, I'm going to tell you how I'm going to tackle this video. This is going to be more focused towards players that have not played Final Fantasy Tactics before and are interested to be playing it for the first time. Though I am sure that there's going to be things in this video for those that have played many hours of Final Fantasy Tactics, because I do feel like this is the definitive version of Final Fantasy Tactics and it has plenty to offer for both new and old. So let's start off with the story. Now, I'm not going to spend too much talking about the story because I feel like it's something you truly need to experience for yourself. Those that have played Final Fantasy Tactics, you know what you are in for. Those that haven't, this is one of the greatest Final Fantasy stories that has ever been told. Through its narrative and its characters, it really is truly something to experience. But what makes it even better is the addition of voice acting and the way that the story is rewritten to support this. This was just a pleasure to watch. I truly believe that this is some of the best voice acting I have ever experienced in a video game, and the fact that it's coupled with an isometric game, I was drawn in and I was on the edge of my seat on all of the moments, all of the character interactions, whether it was Ramza or Dice Guard or even the appearance of Cloud. I was all in when it came to the story Final Fantasy Tactics.
Cloud? I haven't been myself since. Who am I now?
Another thing that I really enjoyed about the story is the additional dialogue. There are certain scenes that weren't in the original that added a bit more relationship status to the characters and just made you feel a bit more connected to the characters. This continued into battles when you're using certain characters in story battles. There is unique lines of dialogue between characters, even characters that you wouldn't expect. So it's probably a good thing to experiment with taking story-based characters to some of these story-based battles, because some of these interactions just keep the flow of the story going really nicely. My only gripe with the story isn't with the story itself, but because this has voice acting and some of these scenes can be quite long, I just want to sit back and I just want to relax and take it all in. There is an auto message system where you can press square and it auto does all of the dialogue. The only problem with this is once you press square, it doesn't mean that it's always going to be applied. And this applies sometimes in the exact same scene, wherever they go from a building outside or vice versa. The auto message dialogue resets. So there were moments that I was just like, I was all in. I was watching and I was like, oh, I'm ready. And then I was just waiting for ages. I was like, why is nobody talking? And then I realized I had to press square again. That's my only gripe, because it did interrupt some of those moments for me experiencing stories, but I think that might be an easy fix. But all in all, story is fantastic. Now let's go into the core of Final Fantasy Tactics, the Ivalice Chronicles, and that is its gameplay. I think I should note before I talk about the gameplay, I've played the enhanced version. There is a classical version, which is pretty much the 1997 version of Final Fantasy Tactics with the better script. Apart from that, you really want to go in with the enhanced version. The classic's there if you want to just reminisce, or if you just prefer the game without all of the new bells and whistles, though that classical version does come with autosave as well. We're going to break this up into two sections because Final Fantasy Tactics is a tactical tactical RPG. There's not really any exploration. So we're going to be breaking it up into menus, and then we're going to talk about the combat, because I feel like we need to talk about the menus first, because that will fall into everything that we need to talk about combat. So straight off the bat, the UI is just incredible. Everything is so easy to access and navigate, and there is no confusion whatsoever. So let's have a look at the world map. The world map, very easy to traverse. You go from point A to point B. You may come across a random encounter. You may not. If you want a certain random encounter, you can trigger it manually. If you come across a random encounter you do not want, you have the option to flee. You also have all of these cities through the world of Ivalice that you can visit, whether that is for a story beat, an errand, or you just simply want to go to the shops. And a thing that we can all appreciate is everything is broken down in the shop menu. If you want a staff, you know exactly which city you want to get that from. If you want a certain piece of armor or an item, it's all listed here for ease of access. It's going to be a common trait while we're talking about the menus is the quality of life from the original version. This is why I truly think this is the definitive version of Final Fantasy Tactics. Also, you have other things on the world map like the Poacher's Den, where you can trade in carcasses of the monsters you defeated, as long as you have the poach ability for some unique items, and if you get some rare versions of those carcasses, you may have access to items that you can't get from shops. From the world map, let's talk about our party, our characters, our units. We have up to 50 here in Final Fantasy Tactics, the Ivalice Chronicles. You have everything at your disposal here. You get to have a look at all of the jobs as you unlock them, the prerequisites to unlock the jobs, what abilities you can learn, what abilities are hidden, and everything in between. So you might want to go for the most traditional Final Fantasy party. You might want a warrior, you might want a thief, a white mage, and a black mage. You can do it here, but as you learn more abilities, the trees open up even more and there's more flexibility. I love the fact that I can mix and match and experiment. I went in with no intentions to follow any OP guides that are already out there, and I suggest if you're playing this for the first time to just do the same. Just experiment with the jobs, see what's best for you. I suggest probably leveling a couple of jobs at the same time in tandem with each other so you've got more things at your disposal. Definitely go for the chemist, because in Final Fantasy Tactics you can't use items without the chemist, and you need to unlock each ability, aka the items, as you go along. So if you want to use a Phoenix down, you've got to put in the effort to be able to do that. So many layers, and again, the UI makes it so easy for that to happen. Another feature that I absolutely love is the Chronicle part of the menu. This is where you find all of your lore. You also have access to the story through the events viewer, where you can either watch the scenes back, or certain scenes you can watch animated cutscenes. You can also have a look at all the characters and how they've developed it throughout the story. You can have a look at State of the Realm, which is a feature from Final Fantasy 16, and this will give you a step-by-step guide of where the story is heading, what factions have failed, what factions are doing certain things, what deaths occur in the game. Everything is laid out perfectly in this menu. And then at the bottom of this Chronicle menu, you have a few things that are pretty nice. Something that I like to do, because I just like to collect things. You have the list of errands, which is side quests, which are essential for you to level up the job points of some of your side characters. There are also many collectible items that you'll find during these errands, which are all pretty much throwbacks to previous Final Fantasies. You'll find materia here, Final Fantasy 7, Calcabrina from Final Fantasy 4, and the few locations that you might find familiar as well. All in this menu. It was a pleasure to read and just get a bit of nostalgia as I was going through these menus. You then have the reading materials, of which this is where you have the access to play the choose your own adventures, which were only exclusive in the Japanese version of Final Fantasy Tactics and never found themselves in English officially until this version. Very nice little change of pace. If you want it and want to learn more about the world of Ivalice, I suggest playing these choose your own adventures and see what kind of outcome you have during these. Also, you have the aura site that you collect throughout the story, and then the in-game achievements. I'll leave talking about trophies after we've gone over combat, but this menu, everything you want is here. Right, combat. This is the meat of Final Fantasy Tactics, and there is certainly some learning curves along the way. You have 3 difficulties. You've got the Squire difficulty, Knight difficulty, and Tactician. If you are struggling, go for Squire. If you wanting to just go for it naturally, go for Knight. And if you want that challenge, and there certainly is quite the challenge, go for Tactician. But the essentials of Final Fantasy Tactics and its battle system is it's a tactical RPG. You want to be tactical about it. The fact that we have all of these quality of lives included in this version of the game by seeing enemies on the map before we place our units, though this only applies to random battles, you probably get used to the story battles as and when. All of the jobs, the abilities, these all come into effect, and it can be quite exhilarating in some of these battles, especially if you come across a random encounter and you're ambushed by red chocobos that want to use Choco Meteor. You're thinking, how can I tackle this? You can't just go for attack all the time. The crux of the battles in Final Fantasy Tactics is to be strategic. Oh, I only have a 57% of this hitting, but if this hits, I will definitely get the advantage and I'll be able to maybe poach an enemy, which then leads my mage to have the space to use an ability. It's always about forward thinking, and things like the combat timeline, the ability to look at the units on the battlefield, what armor they're carrying just in case you want to steal it, what their zodiac sign is, because that does come into play as well when it comes to weaknesses and just general statistics. There are so many layers in the battles of Final Fantasy Tactics, and some of these battles I went in and I got my ass kicked. What did I do? I re-strategized. I thought, okay, well, if this enemy is can continue to use this, maybe I need to use silence to keep them out of the way. Maybe I need to just disable them so they can't traverse across the battlefield. There's so many questions you're going to be asking yourself, and I really feel like you should approach the game that way. Don't just go in, attack all the time, because sometimes you might get lucky, and yes, that is how you can approach some of the battles, but some of them you want to take a step back and you want to really think about what jobs you have at your disposal. And there's so many jobs, so many combinations, because you can have your main job and a sub job at any time as long as you've learned the abilities, and there's definitely some unique combos to be had when it comes to the jobs. I could spend absolutely ages going into combat more and more, but with the quality of life features that we have here in Final Fantasy Tactics, the Ivalice Chronicles, I had a absolute barrel of a time. There was some stressful moments during some battles, and especially as I was getting towards the end game, I had to reconfigure and reset my mind on what I needed to take to battle. Sometimes I just needed to leave it completely, because there are certain battles where you will do a sequence of battles, and in the original Final Fantasy Tactics, you lose along the line of those battles. That's it. You got to start from the beginning. But here you have a time to reset and maybe bring in another character, and there are plenty of characters to be had, including Cloud from Final Fantasy VII. So it is just a good time and is the best way to experience here Final Fantasy Tactics with the Ivalice Chronicles. And there's one more feature here included in the Ivalice Chronicles that you will absolutely appreciate here in battle, and that is the speed up toggle. You do it just by pressing R1, and then boom, you can grind the JP, you can grind the experience. Heck, this isn't even just in battles. This is why you're traversing the world map, redoing cutscenes, whatever it may be. The speed up function is essential, and I'm so glad it's here. And that's leading us towards the end of the video. Let me touch on those trophies and those in-game achievements. So essentially the trophy list is the same as the in-game achievements. So if you're playing on the Switch, for example, you still have that satisfaction of trying to get all the achievements and have 100% playthrough on your save file. But as for the trophies themselves, they've been pretty easy. The only ones that I have left to do is there's some interesting ones that are definitely related to jobs and allow you to explore the jobs a little bit more. And that's what I like about the achievements here, because it does get you to go off the off-beaten path of the OP builds and really experiment with other characters and jobs and see what they bring to the table. Other ones are just story progression. There's a few secret things out there as well, and there is of course one for you to max out every single job and learn every single ability it has to offer. And there we have it. What a experience. I truly believe this is the definitive version of Final Fantasy Tactics. I think this is a version that is a true experience to what the original was. I appreciate time. If you have any questions, leave them down below. Don't forget to like, hype, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And until next time, I'll catch you on the flip side.